Now we are live. Got it? Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Worldscope Mundane Astrology discussion panel on YouTube. Well, every month we will invite astrologers from all around the world to discuss the Mundane Astrology focus on world events. And today with us, well, we have a huge panel today and a very, very welcome to our new member, well, Fernando from Brazil, because he's going to lead us to discuss about the Brazilian presidential election. But, well, nevertheless, we have a Luiza from Portugal, we have Maria from Argentina, we have a Mark, Lianne, and Sandy from UK, and we have Grace from the Germany, and me. Well, I'm from UK too. Okay, so I mean, yes, thank you for laughing. I mean, it's always kind of exciting energy. Today we have a Mars Sun trine Mars, so it's kind of so excited. But I also have a very, very happy news today because we got new chancellor.
Hooray.
Because you have to see, because for since they become the government, every day I become a little bit like a banker in the city, you know, with mobile phone on my hand, and every day I track British pounds exchange rate up and down, shoo, going up and then drop down terribly. Because my dream is to buy a place in some nice small island. But there's a price is like bang, 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 bang. I couldn't really get on with that. That exchange rate is such terrible. But today when I hear the news, he being asked to stay aside. That's what he say. And I was like, okay, all right. But today we have a lot of things to talk about. So we will start with the solar eclipse, and then we will go to Iran, and then we will talk about the Brazilian presidential election. And then if we have time, we will add something new because it sounds quite interesting. I just looked at the solar eclipse chart in United States. It's also quite hot. It's also quite hot, like last time. Yeah, I will show you like that. So let's go to the eclipse, because this eclipse is I think it is on 25th October, and then is at the 2 degrees Scorpio, but the conjunct Venus is very tight. So should I put chart on? But I know the chart I put on would be the, in the Placidus, but feel free to, add it. What do you think? Well, and also I have to say I put it in UK, but I mean, you can add in anything else. All right, just give me 1 second.
Well, whichever chart you put, the ruler of the eclipse is always Mars. That doesn't change.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's always Mars. What's going to change is where it's from an astrocartography point of view. Otherwise, it doesn't change.
Yeah. So we have, I think, can we see this? Oh, yes, we can see this one now. So we have this is UK chart, but please, okay. So the Sun Moon conjunct in the 2 degrees Scorpio and the conjunct with Venus. And then, yes, you're right, this Mars is the ruler, and it would be very interesting because Mars going to outbound and retrograde from end of this month, and then it will continue, for retrograde for a while until next January. Am I right? I think so. So during this time would be pretty interesting because the ruler of eclipse is, going like this in transit. Any suggestion?
Well, Mars is already practically stopped. It's going very, very slowly.
Yeah, and I think we need to look at Pluto as well, because Pluto is just stationed and going direct. So Pluto is very, very slow because that's the co-ruler of the eclipse too. And Mars and Pluto are very uncomfortable there together with that in conjunct. So, we've got this eclipse, Venus is very much tied into the eclipse. She's in detriment. She's not particularly happy there. And then we've got Mars and Pluto who just feel a bit irritable with each other. And they're the rulers of the eclipse. So I don't think it's the most comfortable energy, is it? And I think there's a lot of shift to come. There's going to be a lot of shift with this eclipse, and not necessarily easy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the Saros series, I'm not an expert on these at all, but I do have Bernadette Brady's amazing book, always by my, on my desk. And she describes this family of eclipses about being forceful and about the taking of power. And it can have a manic flavor around the taking of power, and with great strength or force manifesting. So yeah, we're already seeing that in the UK, aren't we, with the all the transformation in our government. So I don't know what anyone else thinks anyway.
Well, there's something that bothers me a little bit, especially in terms of the Iranians thing, is that both feminine planets are debilitated in Scorpio.
Yes, I think that is really, really interesting, especially that Venus, because it's like a really conjunct with with the new moon. I think Maria is about to say something.
Oh, yes, I was going to say just about that the last full moon, Venus was also part of that full moon, and it was in its own sign. And we saw women in Iran having a voice, getting power. But the fact that this new moon has both feminine planets in detriment and fall, and also the combustion of the planets, I think that's not very good news in terms of what's going to happen with women, especially in countries where they are at risk. Yes. And of course, Scorpio is about power. So it wouldn't be, we might expect, powerful authorities to just take a revenge on women.
Yeah. Yeah, women and power are at odds. Is that what you're saying, Maria?
Well, I'm saying that both Venus and the moon, both planets, the feminine planets, are being are in a weak position compared to the last full moon, where Venus was stronger because it wasn't.
We saw that theme, I think, the last time we looked at Afghanistan, I think, as well, with the Venus. I think when it was quite strong, it tied in with the kind of initial burqa protests and stuff. And then when they did the crackdown and started to shoot at the women, I think Venus was again in a weak position. So it's interesting how it comes up so often, that symbolism.
Yeah. I mean, this eclipse, for me, especially considering the last season of eclipses in spring, brings me back to the supply chain. Taurus, Scorpio, resources, the supply chain. And as we know, with the Ukrainian situation not getting any better, the supply chain situation is not getting any better. And I think it's also reflected in this chart.
Yeah, this isn't just about, the women, the female situation that we're seeing demonstrated in Iran, but it's about money. It's about who owns what, and it's about it's about possessions. It's very financial, and as we know, the financial situation at the minute, it's just everywhere, isn't it? All over the place.
So what I read today made me a little hopeful for Iran, is that the oil and energy workers are striking. And these are men joining in. And from what I read, this was also a factor when the Shah was deposed, when the energy workers started, let's change things. And I think Marie is going to bring up the chart for the Iran.
Yeah, draconic chart or something.
I used the regular chart of the proclamation of the Islamic Republic, and it's a half-turn Uranus. So the lunar eclipse is on the Uranus. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Uranus is at 20 in this
Mhm.
natal chart.
Yeah.
And the lunar eclipse, the Sun and Venus, will be on the natal Uranus.
Mhm.
So that gives me a little hope. And just like the Shah, if
Mhm.
things start to develop, they develop very quickly.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'm an optimist. I'd like these women free, but I see a ray of hope with the lunar eclipse, with the full moon.
Yeah. Lianne, I think a couple of days ago we are talking about the similar things in the on Instagram. What's your point about? What's your view about these recent protests?
Well, I always keep going back to the bigger picture, as we discussed the other day, and of course this is very much tied into that Saturn Uranus square, the waning square that we're in. And of course we had the last, it was not quite a square, but it was almost a square on the 4th of October. And this is triggering so much that's going on in Iran. And of course, this chart, which was the Iranian Revolution, this took place during the previous waning square of the previous cycle, okay? And that was in fixed signs. And we now have a waning square in fixed signs again, which is absolutely picking up this chart. Can I share my screen, actually, Rod?
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, while you prepare. Hello, Anna. We also have Anna
Hello.
joining us.
Hello, everybody.
I think you've disabled me, Rod.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I think I have to make you the
Co-host.
Co-host. Okay. So, well, okay, co-host. No. Well, I will also try to make a Fernando co-host just in case
That's
you want to
good.
share the chat later.
That's good. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Don't want that one. Okay, let me just make this bigger. Move that out the way. Right, show. Come on. Right. Okay, so yeah, so we can see. Let me just get my pen out here. So we can see that we're really tied into this waning square, which is picking up the angles of this Iran chart. And this is the backdrop, of course, to all the other transits we've had. You know, we had that that full moon on the 9th, and that's when all the media got hacked in Iran. You know, it was hacked, and the themes that came across the TV broadcasts were women, freedom, life. You know, it was very much about that Mercury Jupiter opposition that we've just had as well, which was on Wednesday. That was the third of the Mercury Jupiter oppositions. And of course, they were across the Libra Aries axes, which that full moon was across. So that was, you know, very much tied into the media hacking. And they're triggering the bigger picture, which of course is this waning Saturn-Uranus square. But of course, we've got the eclipses upcoming, don't we? So we've got one on the 25th of October at 2 Scorpio.
Yep.
And then the one in November, which is at 16 Taurus, which is going to sort of be tying into all this, you know, around the 10th house of the Iran chart. But what we've also had going on, we've got Jupiter, which has been sort of pouring all over this Sun and Juno, and let's just say for ease, Juno's about people's rights. You know, Jupiter's sort of been over that. It's gone back retrograde, and it's going to go back over a third time, and that's really pulling out the fighting spirit of the Iranian women, because that Sun is sextile moon there in Gemini, you know. And if we look at that sun in Aries, Aries is very much about the head. It describes, you know, anything to do with the head. And it's very uncomfortable because it has to be covered up with the hijab. And that's what all this is about, isn't it? This is what's triggered it, you know, that poor woman being arrested because she didn't wear the hijab properly. And then she died in police custody. And then that sparked all the mass riots. But it's about human rights. That's what it boils down to. So we're seeing that very, very much triggered in Iran at the moment. And let me just clear them because I end up with too much going on. But I think the big thing that we have going on here is this is what's coming up for Iran. The eclipses are going to make everything a bit more volatile, bring things to a head. But this is the big thing for Iran that's going on. We've got this coming up later this year. So none of this is going away. You know, none of this is going away. We're going to see power struggles, an overthrow, but we're going to see a metamorphosis, you know, in Iran around not just women's rights. We've got Jupiter in Cancer. It's about the people's rights, but it's very much about feminine rights as well. But, you know, there's going to be a power dynamic here. And we know that the authorities are getting quite violent, quite militant. There's blackouts with media, you know, they're sort of blocking phone data. So we're only seeing what people can send out because obviously journalists are being blocked as well. So we're a little bit limited, but I without being negative, I think there's some sort of dark days ahead in Iran. But hopefully there will be light at the end of the tunnel as we move through into next year and Pluto moves into Aquarius, hopefully. But it's not going to happen overnight, is it? This is
no.
a long-term thing. But it's an uprising. It's a female uprising, but just not just about the hijab and female problems. It's human rights. So sorry, I've been talking too much.
No.
Anyone else?
Before we invite Maria to share, anyone want to comment?
And I just wanted to say that for me, the hacking of the TV when the Ayatollah was giving his speech, I thought that was so much Mars in Gemini squaring Neptune. To me, that was just, you know, because it was an aggressive, very, very aggressive message. That would be Mars in Gemini squaring Neptune, and that would be using audiovisual technique. So that's what I thought when I saw that news. But it's interesting to see it in your way. But to me, it meant Mars. I mean, new ways in which messages are going to come across with that Mars in Gemini for the next 5 months.
Wow. Yeah. So Maria, are you going to show us the draconic view?
Oh yes, I could. First I want to ask, because I have 2 charts for Iran, right? I have the one that you shared, and I have another one, and I'm not sure which one is the correct one, but I'm going to share both, if that's okay with you.
Please, yes, please.
Give me 1 second for me to find my presentation. Okay, so am I sharing? Not yet. 1 second, please. There we go. Okay, so the first one I used is this one, and I looked at the new moon. I looked at the new moon of last month using this chart, because that was close to the moment that the riots began. Okay, and I noticed that if I use the draconic chart, using this chart, the draconic chart for Iran, the ascendant was in Virgo. That's where Mercury is stationed, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the degree where Mercury is stationed some days ago.
Mm.
And I thought this was very interesting in this draconic chart, because we all know that the 19 degrees of the fixed signs are very, very active this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had the Uranus North Node and Mars conjunction in Taurus, and then immediately afterwards we had the lunation in Leo at 19 or 18 degrees of Leo and Aquarius, etc. And when I looked at the draconic new moon for the last days of September on the draconic chart of Iran, look at the draconic new moon.
Mm-hmm.
It's at 18 degrees of Leo. And that is a degree that was so active in
Wow.
August, September. So I was really impressed by this. And it was also impacting on this stellium in the draconic chart. So I thought this was really, really powerful. But if we look at the other chart for Iran, we see that, okay, so this degree is this chart correct? Because I haven't used it before. Is it Leo rising in the chart that you have?
Let me double check.
Yes, it is. Anna says it is. Thanks, Anna, for that. So in this case, okay, so this is very significant because this is the degree that we're talking about, the 19 degrees of the fixed signs.
Wow.
Okay. But if we look at the draconic chart using this date instead of the other one, we see that there was an eclipse on the midheaven and IC. Okay, there was an eclipse, and there will be an eclipse. This one is the one that we're talking about at 2 degrees of Scorpio. And there we have Pluto at 2 degrees of Taurus, and that's one of the rulers of the MC, of the government. So, and also look at Venus. This is the degree where, very near the degree where Mercury has stationed, right? So, I mean, I'm watching to see what happens, what goes on. But for me, this chart is really expressive because in this case, we have a Jupiter opposite this stellium in Leo, okay, and also transiting Jupiter opposite the new moon in Leo. And what I think is that what happened in Iran has been happening for a long time, but now because of technologies, that's the Jupiter in Leo, in Aquarius, because of technologies, we all know about what's going on. Okay, so there's something that came out into the world, and that's why I thought this chart really worked. Okay, but it's, you know, how draconic is. So you have to look at things and just stand still and wait for events to show you if you were right or wrong.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Maria.
Maria, and the upcoming eclipse of the next year will be in 29 of Aries, which is the draconic Pluto.
Wow, Anna. Spot on. You are always amazing.
Great.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
And another thing, just before continuing, this draconic Mars in Leo, it looks like the symbolism of cutting hair of those women.
Oh.
Beautiful. Wow.
It's like cutting the hair. It looks like the Mars in Leo.
I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
and that Pluto rules the second, the draconic second. So maybe Iran will have restrictions, economic restrictions, you know, of course, because of problems with other countries, because we do have Saturn on the cusp of the 7th. So it's always going to be in this chart. It's always going to be about how difficult it is to relate to other countries. But I loved your point of view. Thanks, Anna, for that.
Thanks to you. Very interesting.
Wow, thank you. Well, before we jump to the next topic, anyone want to have a comment or share the chart and the view about the recent Iran protest? If not, we were going to invite Fernando, our new panelist, our new guest, to tell us what's happening in Brazil, because
Brazil.
it's very interesting.
Let me see if I can share.
Yes, I just make you the co-host, so you definitely can share.
Okay, let me see if I can use this.
Yes, yeah, you are. Yeah.
Oh, I was looking at this chart too, because transiting Mars, which we're talking about, the eclipse, it's about to be in conjunction, I guess, with Uranus of the birth chart of the King Charles.
Oh,
So I thought that would be interesting to observe. But let me see if I can. That's if I can see something. I don't know if I have. I don't see the. Just a second. This is Brazil. Where each one of us. Okay, just we are talking about the eclipses, eclipses before, and I was glad that Maria mentioned that all the planets here are in the combust zone. They say combust zone. The traditional astrologer say the 15 from 15 Libra to 15 Scorpio is the zone of combustion, and all the planets, including Mercury in Libra, is in this zone, and also the South Node. What I see is this kind of weakness. We talk about the dignities of the moon, but it seems that the dispositor, the ruler of the eclipse, is in trine with Mercury. So maybe the ruler will help somehow the media, the press, and the students and the youth to deal with whatever it might be related to this conjunction in the eclipse time. What I have learned also from ancient astrologer were that, of course, we have to see about the dignities, essential dignities of planets, especially in the eclipse. The sun is in the solar eclipse, even partial, the sun, meaning the authorities in general, right? The emperor, king, but male figures, male authoritative figures is eclipse. It's like, you know, it loses its light. So I learned that every time that happens, when we have the shadow, if the eclipse, if I'm not wrong, is a little bit like north of Europe and Russia, and some of those areas. So a male authority figures that has some relationship to Scorpio, Scorpio signs in the sense of, I don't want to say job, but the figure of this kind of what we associate of career or jobs related to Scorpio, like military, surgeons, spies. So this this eclipse of the sun might mean as well this fade away of this male figure that are related to, especially are related to Scorpio and the eclipse for the next month. So
you were right. The shadow zone of these eclipse covers Iran and covers Russia.
right.
Russia
So
And Kazakhstan.
and
and
Kazakhstan, especially Kazakhstan.
you see, so probably Putin will be a good candidate to represent the sun eclipse in Scorpio, because his ascendant is Scorpio, and he's his job was to be a spy, right? At some points. So I think that we might hear about that, and also, as Luiza said, about the male figures, authority figures in Iran. So I will be watching that very close. And as I said, the ruler is really aggressive, but is giving a break, it seems, to, you see, 25 and 22. So he's giving a break. Actually, Mercury is the dispositor of the ruler of the eclipse. So they are having a nice talk, and I hope the press, not just national, but world press, the world press, media, students, and the youth will be getting some kind of support. I would not say the military per se, but seventh house, especially as we said, from like international or associate nations and countries. So I'm glad to be looking at that. Although we can see also Mercury, the second, to those who take Pluto as the modern ruler and also participant in the being the dispositor of this, it's in a square to Mercury. So some powers, some very, very powerful and dangerous power figures will be pressing the same way you will be pressing Mercury in relation to this combust zone, and with this help of, anyways, we can see here Mars and Uranus. It's a holy war, right? It's religion and military war. We can see this all around. What I really would like to observe, I'm really fond of the quincunx, so in conjunct 150 degrees, and we have the two rulers are really not talking in the same language, because they have one is an earth sign, the other one is air sign, one is cardinal, the other is mutable. So they are not really in communication, and I see that as I believe that's a problem. I don't know how it operates in mundane. I have seen this most in synastry is a really hard aspect for synastry. And also Neptune, Mercury 22 is in quincunx, 150 degrees is Neptune. So this is really hard to the youth and media to communicate with some kind of spiritual leaders or spiritual power. So, and there's another one here, but I'm not going to mention the third one. But I really would like to call the attention to quincunx playing in mundane charts for now. Let me see if I can. So Brazil's chart that I use is this is from the book World Horoscope from Nicholas Campion. It has 4:30 p.m. Some of my friends that has done some work in research in rectification would prefer 10 past 4 p.m. as a chart for Brazil. So it puts a little back into Aquarius. So we can see that Brazil around this time of election is going through the same as other countries that have fixed sign in their angles, and they are really resistance to minor change. So we can expect them to be even more resistant to change in major configuration like eclipses, especially because the eclipse season is also on a fixed sign. One of the major problems that we see, not just talking about fixed sign, but it is opposition of Mars and Saturn, and this is being played out. And also around conservative forces since the independence, independence of Brazil. That was the chosen chart, national chart. The nodes axes also are in fixed sign with, I think it's get into play. What people see most, and some of friends of mine, they see more the Pisces, because you can see some even would suggest that the Brazilian ascendant is Pisces and is related to Pisces, the Pisces archetype of Portugal, because we are Portuguese descent, and somehow, and so many degrees are of Pisces are in the first house. And if you can see modern rulers of Pisces and Aquarius, they were in conjunction in Capricorn. So we are always going to debate if Brazil is more Aquarius or more Pisces, because we have this, this kind of stamp. And what people also get to know a little bit more about Brazil is this conjunction of the moon and Jupiter. That is not very comfortable in Gemini, but they play out some kind of personality, or let's say temperament, sanguine temperament. And it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because it gets to be with the law publishing house and the media, and also let me see what else I could have here. This is the help me, Luiza, at inauguration chart of 2019, January 1st of Bolsonaro. So we knew it all about when we saw the Sun, Saturn, and Pluto in a triple conjunction in the 9th house. And that this happens, the next time that will happen again is probably more than 200 years from now. So maybe would be interesting to see if we believe in collective karma, to see 268 years ago what happened in Brazil when Pluto and maybe Saturn and the Sun were in Capricorn. You see, it's interesting about talking about power and too much power for the president, because Sun rules the president or the king by itself, but also Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, the midheaven of this chart, is in Capricorn with combust, like we say, next to the Sun, and not too far where Pluto, that also has to do with power. Here, like we said, isn't that interesting? We just saw the eclipse in Iran, and here we have the same configuration, female in Scorpio, so during 4 years, international women, or the only 3 female ministry, that's I don't know if we could say that, I don't know how this word would say, but the minister responsible for his council, female counselor, let's say. So they also have one of them plus his wife, so they were all and agriculture. The agricultural minister was female, seriously, here too. And his wife was playing out with this. The other ruler, modern ruler of the midheaven, is in the 12th house. And we saw a lot of, hidden stuff. Even they call now the budget, hidden budgets that is on the billions of Brazilian money, going to we don't know where. And so the eclipses are happening right in this, between the 1st and 12th house the ascendant line. The eclipses has been here, right, during all this year. And if we get the presidents, these the same axes are his midheaven. Okay, so what my former teachers would say that, well, if you have an eclipse in your 10th house and lunar eclipse in your 4th house, you are going to move. You're going to leave the palace and go somewhere else to live. So that is what we hope for and praying for. If you allow me to say that. So this is one, excuse me. This is one of the special look, I would not say technique, but that has been very helpful in day-to-day astrology for, clients, but it also might help to fine-tune elections to see if the charts, let's pretend that the president and the vice presidents are your clients, and they come to you as a ordinary client, say, oh, I'm planning to, change jobs and move home, move to another city. Can you see that in my transit and progression then? So this, if this show any possibility of moving out of the house to the president, to the actual president and vice president, they might leaving office. And also, if you see the opposition, the one that is trying to move into the presidential palace, they come to you like Lula and his vice president, say, oh, I'm thinking about moving to Brasilia, the capital city. Can you see my chart, my transit and progression to see if, me, myself, and my vice president, they are going to move out. And and coincidentally and incredibly, the 4 of them has the straight and fixed sign, showing that possibility of moving out of their homes. So I think this is interesting to point out, although it's not a classical technique for elections.
So interesting. One thing I noticed is the eclipse going to happen is going to square his Chiron, isn't it? His Chiron is a 3 degree of Aquarius, going to square it. And another, moreover, I just double checked the November lunar eclipse was going to happen.
Oh,
the
yes.
16th Taurus. Holy.
The lunar eclipse. I don't. I didn't get to.
That's right. Because it's on Bolsonaro's Mars. It's right on his Mars. The lunar
Venus is on that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to notice that his sun sign is Mars. Actually, you can see is 0 degree. Aries, and Brazil independence chart has Pluto in 0 degree Aries. Oof. In the second house of Brazil's chart. And so he is ex-military, we can see, and it shows with Mars and the 10th house, although in the Taurus. His father was practicing illegally, like dentistry, so he was like a dentist, like with the barber, usually you would do some, So I think Mars in Taurus, 10th house, would talk about his father and himself as surgeon and military, and because his moon is in Aquarius, he specialized or was fond of jumping out of the airplane with the parachute. So he was, so he was this kind of military. And let's see.
The question is he going quietly, or does he have the military with him?
Well, if you think that Steve Bannon is a teacher of his son, the same way a tutor like Donald Trump, so he's going by the book. We are going to see a remake of Hollywood move that we saw before on Trump's election, still today, and that we are going to see probably more violently, because he has the support of some of the military, and you
Yeah,
know how.
that's what I was asking. Because of all this Mars, does he have the support of the military? Because
think
Brazil has been known to have a military dictatorship before.
Yes, yeah. So that would be worse if Trump was in office now, getting his support, but Biden said, no support from me to whatever, you know, and other, you know, Macron has said that, and other, you know, people like, you know, his government has a bad relationship with China, even with, you know, suicide moves like in economics. And Lula Luiz Inácio is, you know, has good international relation in general, but especially with UN, China, the BRICS, right? The BRICS, the BRICS. So it's but we, if you have seen in the news, we have seen quite a few violent meetings about, you know, supporters with killings, which we never saw before. So both of them, the candidates, they have serious health issues that, you know, what else could be more stressful than an election running for president, right? So the immune system of both should not be happy. And some people would ask, yes, there is a lot of risk of, you know, assassination, whatever it is, we never had before. But you see, the national chart of Brazil has a Scorpio in the midheaven. So Getúlio Vargas is told to have committed suicide in office. We have the first impeachment was a president, like two. The first one was Fernando Collor in I forgot, 1992 maybe, and he resigned before, you know, because he, you know, he was probably be guilty of it and would be lose his 8 years, his political rights for 8 years. But Dilma Rousseff, she faced, because she said, I'm innocent and I'm gonna face the impeachment. So it was the first female president-elect democratically, and it was the first president ever to have. But now she's quite happy and young again, because she's watching from her window, you know, all the coup that happened, and she doing la 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 la. I told you. So, anyways,
Fernando, do you have Lula's chart handy at all? Do you have that? Are you going to show us that one? Lula?
Which one? The Lula chart? Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you guys work with the election day chart.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'd love to see that. That's October the 30th, right? And it's incredible how Bolsonaro's moon was right on the ascendant of Brazil, on the same degree of the ascendant at the end of Aquarius. That was really impressive.
His moon.
His moon is at 26 Aquarius, from what I saw, and that isn't that the degree of the ascendant in Brazil, which I agree. I think Brazil has a Aquarius rising.
Yes.
Well,
it's the only country in Latin America who doesn't speak Spanish. I mean, and that, you know, I think.
And we had also, we had also the one of the inventors, the one who flew the first plane in France. You know, so we are more related to air than water or things like this.
And it's so well known for its music, and you have that Uranus conjunction. Yes. I mean, to me, it makes sense that Aquarius rising.
Okay, so I will show, let me see here where I have here, see if I can. All right, so this, let's see if I can find Lula. Okay.
Just want to just point out that Bolsonaro's got Pluto on his descendant, right on his descendant stationing now.
Yes.
Which isn't great, really. If you think back to Liz Truss, you know, she got PM in this country with Pluto conjunct her ascendant. And then Macron, was it Macron in France? The other month, he had Pluto on his ascendant. So if you want to sort of gain premiership, you're much better off having Pluto on the ascendant than the descendant. Okay, you're in the position of power then, rather than your opponent. So yeah.
Yeah, I think why did I say, okay, I got tropical, I have 0 areas.
Yeah, the sun is in the
no,
it's
it's
3 Scorpio.
3 Scorpio, the solar eclipse. Yeah, this is not his ascendant because I got here the 0 Aries ascendant, but
okay.
I've got a birth time for him if you want, but you can just go with that. I've got 10 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
And I got that off astro.com, but I don't know. You might have a better one. You're more.
Let me see if I can find here.
You're closer to the situation than me.
Okay, you can talk a little bit before while I find the chart. Okay.
But independently of the time, Lula has the sun at 3 Scorpio.
3 Scorpio. I mean, in that
eclipse.
The eclipses, yes.
Oh.
Oops. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he has been convicted. He has been in jail and he's back. So that's also a regeneration.
Wow.
He's also, since the 80s, when he founded this Labor Party, and he went to jail so many times and they tried to kill him. That's it. But when he became famous, it was like a dangerous to kill him because he would become a martyr or a saint or anything else, hero. So the damage would be worse than keeping him alive. So that's, but this is the end of the line because people really, really hate him. And so we have to be watching the vice president because Brazil has this, this game and is fond of, impeachments, resigning and assassinations. So the vice presidents always rise to power, always, many of them. So we should not, and all right. So this is, okay. So we see as I said, the eclipses touching his midheaven and also the sunrise and the sun signs. So, okay, so it has to do also with his 4th house and talking about changing jobs and changing residence. And anybody else would like to comment on his chart?
Yes.
Maria.
Okay. You first.
Maria first. Come on, please.
I see that moon is being impacted by the transit of Pluto, and the moon rules the 9th. I think that's interesting. Pluto's at 26 degrees of Capricorn, right opposite that moon. And also it has to do with popularity as well, but also maybe legal trouble,
Yeah. And I think what I see is the coming up the Mars retrograde around his around his Uranus area, around these 8th house, 7th house cusps. So Mars Uranus usually is kind of a very exciting and quite energetic, or could be something uprising, or I don't know. It's makes me feel a little bit like what's going to happen that time.
His Mars and Moon and Saturn sit right on Bolsonaro's ascendant, don't they? They're opposing his descendant, and that's picking up the Pluto transit as well. So it's a proper battle, that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that there is military involved there. That could be a proper standoff.
It is very interesting. I mean, apart from chart, we have a discussion here. Mark says Astro setup can give Luna 21st degree Gemini rising, rate AA, and then the brand will say we have 12 different ascendant in Brazil alone.
Oh yes, there is no, there is no AA chart for him. A lot of rectified horoscope for for him birth time for him.
Yeah,
so
so interesting.
So we believe in two of our best specialists in rectification. To say that one of them, it was like close friends of him at the time of the how do you call that, sindicato? I forgot to say that, Luiza. Union. Okay, trade union of a trade union of the metal workers. And he was friend of his, and as he said, his mother before dying told him that he was born around this time, 6 a.m. So, and he tried. So that was a conversation. But there is, he has his birth certificate that was like registered long after he was born in another city, and it puts his son in Libra, like in the beginning of October. So he has two birthday parties.
He's got different dates as well. They've got the 5th of October and 27th of October on Astrodata Bank. It's really
true.
I'm completely confused.
But he was born. I mean, these were relatively poor people who didn't have means of transportation. And registering a kid was not of the utmost importance.
In 1945.
Yeah, 1945.
Exactly.
Not the, let's register. Can you imagine? I mean.
Yeah, true. Well, thank you, Fernanda. This is amazing. I mean, today's discussion. Thanks for our amazing panel. But before we leave, I'm not going to kick everyone out because we still have time, and it's so interesting. I mean, there is so many things we can discuss. Because I'm not going to show the chart, but I would like to mention this solar eclipse. One thing, there's two countries I'm more interested. One, Ukraine. Always this year is all about the Ukraine, and then the solar eclipse chart in the Ukraine is going to have the Uranus descendant, and we know that, I don't know why, these solar eclipse charts ascendant angles are very, very coordinate with the Libra in Greece chart in many countries. Like, for example, in Ukraine's Libra in Greece chart, they have the Uranus on MC. But when you see it in the solar eclipse chart in 25th October, Uranus is on IC. The two important mundane astrology chart shows Uranus on the angle MC and IC. I really don't know what's going to happen in Ukraine, but that sounds a little bit spooky, to be honest, because at this moment you don't want a huge change. That's Uranus means, or another meaning of Uranus could be nuclear, and that is one of possible. I'm not going to say I predicted it, but that is the symbol of it, and it's really worrying. Another thing, I think that we talk about it in the Libra in Greece chart about the United States. As I say, the Libra in Greece chart in the United States was I think it was Pluto on the let me double check. Pluto on the MC and the Uranus right on the ascendant. But if we switch to the solar eclipse chart, well, we're going to have Pluto on IC. So, this place could be also play some important, we're expecting some important things going to happen during, next cycle of the eclipse thing influence. But anyone want to, add any comment or anything want to share? Well,
next time on the 11th of November, the elections of Brazil and the US second term, we'll find out if your views you know, we can compare with the reality with our analysis. That's
Yeah,
going to be
definitely.
very interesting.
Definitely, definitely. Well, thanks everyone. But before I leave, because I mean, always advertising a few things. But I would like to know, any our colleague have any news to share, going to teach, or any course to share. Maria, I know you're going to work with Deborah very soon.
Oh yeah, I will be representing the STA. I will be teaching the horary course in Spanish. Yeah.
Oh,
As
cool.
Great.
from
great.
March 2023. Yeah, I'm delighted.
Cool.
Anna will be helping me out. I know.
Oh,
Sharing
wow.
charts and things. Yeah, it's going to be great for the Spanish speaking community.
Yes.
Really looking forward. I wish my Spanish is good enough to go to there to listen to learn. Luiza, I think the protocol conference is coming in March next year. And then any of your teaching and the things you want to share?
Well, I'm immersed into the Odysseus myth and what it really means, and questioning Joseph Campbell, and questioning patriarchy, and questioning the real myth of the hero. So
that is so interesting.
So that's what I'm going to talk about personally.
Amazing, amazing.
You know.
Yeah, and Lianne, any new course? Any?
Yeah, I'm just continuing on with my tutoring for the Mayo School of Astrology, as well as my private practice. I'm doing the amazing Pluto and Aquarius series with you next year, Rod, and I have some other talks in that I'm organizing, but I can't really say anything until
I know why you say that. You will tell us next time. And Fernando, thank you for joining us. If any news coming, any teaching, anything you sharing?
Not in English, maybe next year.
Okay, cool.
We help you. We help you. We help you, Fernando. We help you.
But I would like to add that because of this group, Rod, Lianne and I have done some collaborative work.
Yes.
Which we cannot reveal now, and unless somebody says no, and then we reveal it.
We waiting for you the time, because I know the little secret going on there.
Rod.
Sorry, Fernando.
Fernando, go ahead.
Okay, now I just wrote down here my Instagram.
Yeah.
So if people would like to, it's going to be become now. I have this celestial insight. The other day I say, I should have a trilingual Instagram because I get message from people from all South America, Latin America, and English-speaking countries. Okay, I'm so lazy. I tried to do that on Facebook and didn't work. But so this is Nando Astro Cabana is my Instagram, and if you take Nando out, we have Astro Cabana with a K. This is my YouTube channel. So I have like 3 or 4 interviews with American and British astrologer, and I would like to have more. Because, okay, so you can enjoy this channel, and so I guess that's it. So probably after the inauguration of the new president, January 1st, we will have, because there is no set time to to inauguration, so maybe any time in the afternoon, but after we have the right hour and time of the so I would like to invite you guys, if even for my YouTube channel, you're all invited to chip in about the mandate and how the new 4 years would be, if you like.
Definitely. Thank you. Mark, anything from SAA? Sorry, I'm going around the world.
Well, we've got this stuff going on. Personally, I'm in deep research mode on a chart I'm working on for England, history of England. So I'm pretty much in medieval history at the moment, going through all of that.
Cool.
So that will come out maybe next year, but that won't be for a while yet.
Lovely,
That's
lovely.
quite busy.
Okay. So
Right.
how about Sandy? Sandy, yeah, hey, who called me? Yeah, Anna.
Yes, I would like to make a public offer. I would like to share with you all the presentation I did for the NCGR about the upcoming decade. I mean, the Aries ingress of the upcoming years is from, well, will be the 2023 to 2030, because it will come a lot of interesting events about how the Aries ingress will progress, and about
Wow.
eclipses, because there will be a lot of eclipses with a longer range duration,
Cool.
not a shorter one. So I would like to offer, whenever you feel possible, to share with you that presentation. It will be very interesting.
Lovely, lovely. Really looking forward. Really looking forward to share with you. And Sandy, any event from your group or anything?
No, we're still just trying to still talk on Zoom, and we have Lianne next time, which will next month. So we're looking forward to catching up with that talk. And,
Cool.
and again, we'll meet up in December. But where we go from there, Rod, is we've really got to get our heads down and think about.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. And well, I will
Thank
few
you,
things.
lovely.
Next Monday.
Thank you, Fernanda. Thank you, Lianne. Thank you.
Next Monday,
Thank
Christeen Skinner will bring her Lunar Rhythm report, the monthly report, on Monday, 4:30 p.m. I don't know why she chose that time, but you know, once a month, me and Christeen Skinner will talk about a little bit about the world event and with the Lunar Rhythm. And the next Friday on our channel, there will be me and Alejo talking about Mars and the angle. This is for totally beginner. This is for totally beginner, not for Mundane Astrology. Well, thanks everyone, and enjoy your weekend, and see you next month.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.